Hello, my dear listeners. My name is Kishore Ganesh, and in this episode of the Vocal About Visuals podcast, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Thalapathy Vijay's festival extravaganza, Beast, written and directed by Nelson, that also stars Pooja Hegde, BTV Ganesh, Redden Kingsley, Yogi Babu, among others. The primary question to ask in any review, unlike a quote-unquote thoughts podcast, is whether a movie is worth a watch or not. And answering that question is not as simple as one might think when it comes to Beast. Because to answer that question, first we need to decide the context with which one needs to view this film. Do we look at this / does this movie work as a mass movie? Or do we look at this movie / does this movie work as a Nelson movie? Or do we look at this / does this movie work as a Vijay movie? If we look at it as a Nelson movie, then we can easily and most obviously say that this is where this movie fails the most. After having watched Doctor, the level of polish and refinement that the screenplay had in that film is sorely missing here. In fact, this movie seems like it was made with the first or maximum the second draft of the screenplay. The elements of a great commercial movie are almost visible to the audience, but the lack of refinement, a sense of haste, has stopped this movie from becoming a great Nelson movie. Second, does this movie work as a mass movie? Before I answer this question, I have to say that, well, it is supposed to. Supposed to because, yet again, we have all the necessary elements here to make this a great mass movie, and yet unfortunately, Beast is not one. And yet again, the reason for this seems to be hasty, unrefined writing and making. The clarity and balance that was so evident in Doctor, which elevated a dark comedy to a mass commercial film, is missing in Beast. So even with the commercial beats present in a kinda shadow form, the shoddy execution sorely lets it down. So the answer to the question about whether this movie works as a mass movie is kinda. Partly because of the presence of the shadowy commercial beats, and primarily because of the presence of Vijay. Which gives us the perfect segue into the final question, does this movie work as a Vijay movie? And the answer is largely yes. At this point in his career, I think personally that Vijay needs his film to do the following things. Number 1, entertain the audience. Number 2, offer insane levels of fan service to his fans. Not movie fans, not casuals, his fans, die-hard Vijay fans. Number 3, cater to the quote-unquote family audience. And number 4, have enough elements to project Vijay as a demigod through which he can send a message to his political opponents and of course to his fans. Out of the above 4 conditions, Beast easily fulfills the fan service and political message conditions. Despite the mixed reviews, we can confidently say that most people were entertained throughout most of the movie. Let's put that as a 60 to 70% success rate, basically more than half. And thanks to the theme of rescuing children, treating them right, and not making them cry, this story does try to score some brownie points with the family audience. Let's put that score down to say 30 to 40%. So out of 4, the movie managed to get a decent 3. So yes, according to me, this film works as a Vijay film. Now you, my dear audience, have to decide the context in which you want to view this film, and if this film works for you, whether this movie is worth a watch or not. Once again, my name is Kishore Ganesh. This is the Vocal About Visuals podcast, and thank you, my dear listeners, for your time and for listening. Please subscribe to this podcast on YouTube and on your preferred podcast platforms. Also follow us on Twitter @podcastplural. Thank you.